Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Lynn Wire, award-winning author of Steamy Small Town and Spicy Dark Romance, and your host for this episode of Here for the Romance Books. I'm so excited to welcome author Melanie True to the podcast today. Melanie is a Why Choose romance author, military spouse, and lifelong book lover. After years of reading every genre she could get her hands on and working in editing and proofreading, she decided it was time to write stories of her own. 5 years later, she has published a military Why Choose duet, contributed to several anthologies, and has written multiple novellas. Melanie, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you.
So, I guess for readers who are new to you, would you like to describe yourself as an author and the types of books that you like to write?
I started out reading just anything really, and then when I started getting into spicier books, I actually really loved Why Choose and Reverse Harem,
Ooh.
and it just become like one of my favorite things. And then I was like, I feel like I really wish there was more books that I could read, and it just wasn't a very big genre at the time. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just write one and see how it goes. And yeah.
Yeah, because the Why Choose has turned into an evergreen genre, which I write Why Choose as well, but mine's dark.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of my, I read my first one. I think it was Rebecca Royce's. I don't know if
Mm,
you're familiar with her, but she wrote a Why Choose trilogy like yonkers ago. She was like the first one. And I remember
yeah.
reading it going, wow, okay, the girl doesn't have to choose. I was like, I'm in.
I know, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my first one I read was probably Jay Bree, Hannaford Prep. Like I read that first one and I was like, is this what I choose? Because it was like real slow burn. And then I was like, I don't really know what that is. And then like getting through the whole series, I was like, all right, this is kind of my favorite thing.
Hmm. So what drew you to writing the Why Choose genre?
I think it was mostly based on the fact that, she gets a lot of the attention, but she doesn't have to choose. She's usually like just like the one personality that can fit with multiple different people. And just like knowing like there's always that like one got away stories and stuff like that, and then kind of bringing it together with like the bad boy, and you kind of always like different personalities that come together. So having one girl like being able to like have all of them was pretty great.
It's I wonder if found family kind of, could it's really a found family. It's, one person, it's pieces of a puzzle that complete each other is how I look at it.
Yeah, I liked the found family because especially as like a military spouse, like we all have our families back home and stuff, but it's kind of like there's sometimes you're just really far away and it's really hard for people to come visit and whatever. So you
Yeah.
kind of pick up family members as you go from each base. So it's kind of resonates with me a little bit. So I love that.
So, juggling multiple characters is pretty tricky, especially where romance and intimacy is between multiple partners. And so you don't have just an MF dynamic. You have okay, so I'm gonna have to argue about this because I don't consider MF or, MF, yeah, I don't consider three a wide choose. I think it has to be more than three. So that's where I'm gonna go. So how did you ensure in your books that each MMC had a distinct personality, but also a distinct role in the heroine's life? And what are some of the challenges about balancing multiple love interests without overshadowing each other? Because I don't know, like if you're writing, if you tend to like gravitate towards like one or two, and you're like, oh no, I have to, remember to put this other guy in, or, are all they equal to you in your mind when you're writing?
Um,
I
that
threw a
one,
lot at you, so take your time with that
no, it's
question.
okay. um, that one for sure was difficult at first. I feel like my first book, it wasn't as hard because I just kind of like knew where they were going, which my first one had six guys. So it's kind of weird that it just like flowed really easily.
Really? Wow. Okay. I've
Yeah,
never done six before.
which like I feel like there's some parts of it that I kind of just like forgot sometimes, like, oh, I need to bring this guy back in. But
Yeah.
that one I think was a little easier for me because I kind of had like distinctive jobs for them that kind of interacted with what she did with like normal day life.
Mm.
So it kind of helped with that a little bit. My military duet was actually a lot harder. uh, I did that one. That was a multi POV, and I just like every once in a while I was like, okay, I got this one, this one, this one, this one. Did I forget one of them, or like have I hit that character's like point of view in a while? So that one was a little bit harder, especially because those ones were shorter for each book.
I
But
had to pack a lot into, yeah.
yeah, that one was definitely. I feel like it got harder the more I wrote, and then like the last couple books I've done less guys, so it's been a little bit easier. um, but I I think the hardest thing for sure, especially in like the spicy scenes where you're like trying to make sure like they each have something to do and you're kind of hitting them all is probably one of
Yes.
the hardest parts. But lots of notes, lots of like writing down like which personality is which character and like which one needs to shine most. And then kind of just making sure like if I have like beta readers, I'm like, can you just make sure you've like heard about this person in a while or make sure I hit all the guys and kind of just going back through and checking.
The, so something that has coming up, I'm going to digress for a minute, and my Threads feed in
Mhm.
particular is a lot of authors have been asking, okay, how do you keep track, of what's going on in the intimate scenes? And so I pipe up with, well, I draw stick figure drawings, because my husband asked one time, he was like, he was reading over my shoulder when I was editing, and he was like, what the heck is going on? And so I had to draw him a stick figure. And apparently that's just like such a novel idea to a lot of people. And I got a lot of comments on it. So I'm like, really? So how do you, I mean, is it all mental? Do you have like a mental movie in your mind, or do you actually have to diagram some things?
I haven't ever had to diagram things. That's actually a really good
Okay.
idea.
Mhm.
I for some reason spicy scenes just come very like easy for me, but it's usually like after I've written like a chapter where they're whoever's in that scene is like all together, so it kind of just like flows real easily for me. Um, but like if I'm just like jumping back into writing, I can't write a spicy scene right away because it's like I can't remember which ones were in the scene or anything like that. So I kind of have to go back through.
Have to reread.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but like lots of notes for some reason for the spicy scenes. I literally never have to worry about like taking notes or anything. I kind of just am like, okay, who was in the room and this is who was in it and kind of just go from there. So that one for some reason is really easy for me. It's the other scenes, like the in between scenes that are kind of hard for me, especially just like them doing normal day stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because you
that
don't
one's
want it
like the
to,
hardest one.
be boring for the
Yeah.
readers. So,
Well, and that one's the hardest one to like make sure I like get everybody, but it makes sure it like flows. Like
mhm.
conversations are easy, but like okay, they're doing laundry and then they go into another room and they see
Yeah.
this other person and they're playing video games and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know why, but the spicy scenes luckily have just come real easily for me and I never have to really worry about
Oh,
making
but it's a
that.
day to
But I
day.
do yeah, and
Yeah.
I do like the diagram idea though, because sometimes you're like, would that actually work in real
Just don't
life?
let your kid find it, because my kid found it was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh, trying to hide it.
It's nothing, don't worry about it.
No, no, it's mommy's bad artistic. Don't worry about it. So polyamory and why choose romance are, we said were two evergreen tropes that have become very popular that readers absolutely devour. So why do you think these tropes pull romance readers in to where, I mean, they crave these books?
Um, I think it's the aspect of like you can kind of like have your cake and eat it too kind of thing.
Agree.
Because like Hallmark, you have all the like sweet cinnamon roll stories with all the like really sweet guys or whatever, and then you have the like bad boy stories, and you're kind of like, I kind of wish they would probably like both choose the same girl because it'd be a very interesting dynamic, like especially at the house. Kind of just seeing them all work together. I know for me, especially, I really like the aspect of like, I do like a good MF story where it like follows their story along really well, but I also like that Why Choose can kind of take you in different directions. Like you can be in one spot during this scene with two people, and then you kind of move over and kind of see different parts of the world you're building
I like that. I like
with
that
that.
description. You get a more world view with the different character perspectives. I like that. So your military PTSD romance duet series, it blends military with serious struggles like PTSD and also with kind of erotic themes of BDSM. You also include darker themes like stalking, physical and emotional abuse in your Her Warriors duet series. So, what draws you to delve into those darker subject matters in your romance stories? Is it maybe like life experience with the things that you've seen, or do you kind of take in things that maybe you've witnessed in your community since you are? In a military spouse.
I think for my first one, I really just wanted to do a really good cliffhanger because I like kept getting just like cliffhangered really hard on some books, and I was like, I really need something interesting to kind of draw it. I do like having like an ex-military or military member in it just because I kind of know that life, so I know the feelings of like them having to leave, and then kind of just like the troubles with dealing with that life and dealing with possible adults that are not so great sometimes, and then just like helping each other through difficult times like that. And my duet, my Yellow Ribbons duet was it was very near and dear to my heart because I like had such a hard time. My husband's been gone 3 times over our marriage, and when we first got married, he was on a year tour like right after.
My goodness.
So, which we always joke that the military knows when you get married because that's when they're like, okay, you can go be separated for a while. um, but that one, he got deployed after that when we were in the South for a while, and I just kept having these like horrible fears of like what happens if something happens to him, and kind of
Yeah.
like that. And then I started writing the first book of Yellow Ribbons, and then I found out he was getting deployed. So it kind of just like really worked out because I was like writing this like hard deployment story, and then her losing her husband as I was also going through him deploying. So it was
It sounds like a
kind of
little
just followed my
self-therapy and
story.
cathartic release for you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then the second book was kind of like a coming all the way around of like, because I've seen like when people lose their spouses and they have a child, and they kind of like take that with like, we can take pictures with our baby with like the flag that he had one over his coffin, or like his dog tags and stuff. So I kind of wanted to incorporate that kind of thing with them also honoring like their fallen best friend that kind of helped groom them to be better men. So it was kind of like it definitely was like a fearful writing at first, and then just kind of turned into like this thing that if this did kind of happen, this is what you would feel and what would happen, and kind of help you recover from it. And then I kind of wanted to do a little bit more emphasis on PTSD because everybody talks about it,
mm,
but there isn't really a whole bunch of talk about like how to fix that end of it. And then I found this really cool um, company that does like PTSD therapy for soldiers who come back. It's called Camp Hope in Texas, and I wanted to do something special. So whenever I released that first book, I did like an auction, and the money we raised, I just donated to them
Oh,
so
that's
that they could
wonderful.
help with that. So it was kind of nice. It was kind of like a cathartic thing, like you said.
Yeah.
Kind of helps you through like fears and stuff like that.
I
But
think every writer has a little bit of that because I put my trauma in the page as well. It's every book has a life experience for me, and a lot of times it's not pretty, but that's what I need to write. So it sounds like, we're in the same boat, along with a lot of other authors as well, who, if you want a glimpse into their life, just read a book that they've written
yeah,
because you'll get snippets of their life experiences.
yeah. Well, and I think it also helps, like, because we like to escape into books, but I think it also helps, like, kind of escape the trauma you've dealt with. So you kind of just go into someone else's for a little bit and kind of see how their story can just kind of take you away, which is nice.
It also helps you connect with readers as well, who, they realize what you're reading and they're like, I'm not alone.
Yeah,
And they connect with that story and those characters and what you've written. And I love it when that happens. I hate that it has happened, but I love, to be able to touch readers in that way to, let them know, no, I've been through that too. It's going to be okay.
yeah.
So speaking
Well,
of
and
the PTSD and trauma, how do you approach writing them responsibly? Do you do research? Do you talk? I mean, do you talk to people, professionals, or is this just something that, you've kind of experienced some aspect of it with either, someone else in your life or someone that you know, and so you kind of, build that into your stories?
I think I haven't really talked to professionals, but like I did a lot of research and I've like watched a lot, I've listened to a lot of just stories of them coming back. Especially like survivor's guilt was a big one for me, as I didn't want to mess it up
Mm.
if I could help it. Um, I wanted to take it from the perspective, especially the first book, of like her story because I kind of resonate with that. Whereas like as a spouse, I can kind of see if you did lose a spouse and kind of dealing with that trauma and PTSD kind of situation. And then for the guys, I kind of just wanted to go off of what I've seen and heard from other people about like their feelings and stuff like that. Um, I didn't want to go too deep into theirs since I haven't really experienced it and I didn't study it too much. So I didn't want to be like kind of sweeping it under the rug of this is what they went through and that kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
did want to show their side of it and kind of healing together and how like even found family and um, just like shared experiences can kind of help you heal.
Yeah.
Um, but I do, my dad was a veteran and he didn't go to war, but he knew a lot of guys that did, and he kind of saw that. And just kind of knowing a couple of people that I do now, just hearing their experiences, it was kind of like a insight to they don't really want to talk about it, but it's better to talk about it sometimes, but they're kind of closed off. And it's kind of like something you have to kind of internally deal with. But especially it's like a family, you have to learn how to like share some of those, even though they can't share all the details. um, but yeah, it's kind of just a lot more experience based and hearing about experiences rather than researching it, I
You
think,
used
for
your
that
dad.
one.
Have you talked to your dad? Have you used anything from your dad in your books?
I have not.
Yeah. Okay. Does he know
My
what you
family
write?
doesn't. No,
No, he doesn't know
my
what you
family
write.
doesn't.
Okay.
No, my husband does, but that's it.
Really? So
Yeah,
nobody else in your family knows
no.
what you write?
I kind of like that it's my like little side thing,
Little
and it's
secret.
kind of
Okay.
like my alter ego, and I don't really have to share with very many people. It's kind of
Oh
nice.
goodness. Well, hopefully they if they see you in the podcast, I think I'm gonna expose your secret.
That's okay. They don't get on YouTube very often.
Okay, good. So okay, going into military men, because
Mhm.
that's also a huge, romance trope. What qualities do you think military MMCs bring to romance stories that other types of heroes, like billionaire or mafia or cowboy, may not? Oh, this is a hard question.
Yeah, this one is hard. Um, I think they kind of just bring like the everyday kind of life to the story. I feel like everybody loves a good mafia and everybody loves a good billionaire story,
Mm,
but you don't really have too many of those like life experiences, and they're usually not very similar to the books. So that one I feel like you can kind of just get lost in the story. But I feel like military, like somebody's knows somebody who's in the military or somebody's parents were, siblings were, or something, but it kind of just brings like an everyday kind of average guy who goes and does this job instead. And when they come home and they kind of have to adjust to regular life. So it's kind of like I guess it's more relatable, I feel like. Especially with like not everybody is married to someone in the military and deals with that kind of thing, but it kind of gives you like an insight to someone could have been going through something similar or some signs that you've seen that kind of give just like an everyday kind of thing, I guess.
You find military MMCs like more alpha male, or do you think that they're kind of the alpha male but with vulnerabilities, which makes them really good complex characters?
I think it does give both sides of the vulnerability as well as alpha
Yeah.
male. I've started to realize that I do really like the alpha male side. So a lot of my characters
It's
have that in them.
fiction. We get to like that kind of thing because we don't
Right.
get that in real life. That's why we write it.
But I do think that it also lends to the fact of like they can be vulnerable and like you don't have a lot of like mafia on that side for sure. They have a lot of like alpha male and
Mm.
like really demanding presence or whatever. But you don't really have too much of the softness in their lives, especially unless they're like in a closed room by themselves. But
Yeah.
like, especially with the military ones, I like to write military MMCs and like the family oriented one where they have a kid or two and kind of give that like family vulnerability as well as
They
like
show
a
it, so
protective
they show the
stance.
softness and they don't just hide it for closed doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so why is it important for romance novels to depict emotional healing and vulnerability in the male characters? And how do you write tough alpha military men who also allow themselves to be vulnerable? Because we just talked about the vulnerability, but how do you actually incorporate that into your stories?
Um, this is also a hard one.
Yes.
Um, I think especially for me, it's a little bit easier for me, especially because I like to have like a child or two in that situation. So it kind of helps them break that like vulnerability. It's a little bit easier to be vulnerable with kids. So I kind of like putting that in there. But and it doesn't have to be like their kid or anything. It could just be like their niece or nephew or somebody to interact with.
Okay.
Um, but I do think that like especially starting out my first book, I kind of liked the fact that like they don't show their vulnerable side right away and it's more of like an alpha dominance and just like their personalities, and then they kind of slowly open up with her little brother and they kind of get to know her a
Mhm.
little bit better, and they kind of like that's where you see their softer side. um Especially with, I don't know why, but I really like watching them with kids is kind of like a telling of like who they really are. um
Oh, yeah.
it kind of
Yeah.
gives that
So
like they
the
don't want to
FMC
freak the
gets to
kid out, so
witness.
they
Okay.
Yeah. At least for me, that's the easier part of going about that. I feel like I I think most of my books actually have a kid of some kind in the like beginning, so they kind of
That's okay.
get there
So
first.
kid equals vulnerability. What about how do you write them being vulnerable with the FMC?
I think I think try to go from the FMC kind of being vulnerable first. So then my
Or lead
first
by
book,
example?
yeah,
Yeah.
rolling with the punches, I think I just went for she's in danger, so they kind of like have that like they show their like vulnerability by like being a little bit afraid for her and then like really being protective and then kind of like showing their softer side because they don't want to freak her out.
Mhm.
Um and I think that's actually how I introduced their softer sides in that one is they actually I thought it was her little brother, but I think it was actually her is that she was in danger. So they kind of saw um her calling her friend for help and then calling the cops. One of them's a cop, one of the guys is. So they kind of they've gotten to know her over a year, so they kind of like show up and they make sure she's okay first, and they have someone else taking care of
Yeah.
whatever happened, and them kind of showing their vulnerable side whenever they're worried about her, and kind of breaking that wall down a little bit. Um, Especially when you have like characters who are like fighting their attraction or like don't show it right away.
Mhm.
I feel like that just kind of helps it is just when she cracks first a little bit.
And then they're there to help pick up the pieces and yeah.
I think it also lends to just like because I've read a couple of stories where there are male writers and female writers, and there's just a difference between how they show different vulnerabilities. So I think it kind of just like it's easier for me to crack the woman first because I relate to that, I guess, before you can kind of show the vulnerability of the guys.
So speaking of the guys, which of your military MMCs has been the most challenging for you to write?
Oh, I think the most challenging one, I feel like it was Bryce. He is my quiet one in the Yellow Ribbons duet.
Okay.
I love a good like gentle giant quiet guy that's just like always there and kind of protective, and I just love that kind of character. But I think it was really hard for me to write that because like it's almost like he kind of like goes into the background a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to bring him back, and like even if he's just silently there,
Yeah.
um, but I love that kind of character, and I just think sometimes I'm like, oh, I just kind of remember that he's there. And kind of bringing that character back in, especially with so many different personalities and different guys.
I
That
guess
one
he
was
was like
probably
the
the hardest one.
comfort. He was like the comfort zone. And so, you're just
Yeah.
comfortable around him and he just blends.
Yeah. He's like always there in the background and always quiet, but like always there if you need him, but you kind of just forget because he's just in the background. He doesn't
So
talk a whole
what
bunch.
did you do in the book in order to make him not in the background? So what was one like his big moment?
I think it was actually probably I did like a flashback kind of dynamic in the second book where they went back to like her having some pregnancy complications. And he actually got into a fight with one of the other guys. And I think that was his big like breakout moment of like um they always kind of like bickered like when they were deployed and kind of always together. That kind of dynamic, and then it kind of just exploded in the second book a little bit. So I think that's where his like breakout thing was. Um,
They're like, he's
because
not
he
quiet
kind of just
anymore.
had to, yeah, he took a stance and he was like, I'm not backing down on this, and he kind of just kept pushing, and then he kind of became he like bickered, and then he blew up, and then he kind of became just like a closed off. like worried that he might hurt her, worried he might do like accidentally. Like because of his PTSD, he wasn't really dealing with it, so he kind of became that character of like closed off and all that. So they kind of had to pull him out of it, and she basically went up to him and started talking about like, we need to go see somebody. You need to make sure you're taking care of you so that you can be there for us.
So, what do your books say about found family and belonging? Because that seems to be very central in all of your stories that you've written.
Um, I think it just kind of lends to the fact of like, you may have a good family, you may not, but you don't have to stick with what you're given. You kind of can adopt people as you go. You can gain family, you can make a better family for yourself, but you can also give it to other people.
Mhm.
Um, you can kind of be that person for someone else if they have a crappy family or they just don't have any family, and you can kind of become one of those people that they just rely on and kind of give them a sense of love and hope.
That's what I really love about found family because that's like one of my big tropes that I absolutely love. Is family doesn't have to be blood.
Yeah.
You can choose to make anyone your family, love and support them and be there. And I love it. I absolutely adore found family.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorites.
So, what do you hope readers take away about resilience and recovery after experiencing trauma?
Um, I think the biggest thing is it's not just something like even in books, like it's not something they're trying to like, just sweep or under the rug and not worry about, but kind of just like having to deal with it and then move past it to get to a better thing at the end of it is something that's possible. Like resilience, a lot of people think resilience is just like you just need to get over it, you just need to deal with it and move on. But it's more of like you need to deal with it, but you can also be okay with living with what happened and also learn from it, and you don't have to get over it, but maybe just you're able to move past it, maybe able to move past like the anger or whatever you're feeling during it and kind of just get to something better.
So, if readers could remember one thing about your stories long after finishing them, what would you want that to be?
um I honestly think if you don't remember the characters or whatever the story, I just would want that feeling. Like we always get that feeling whenever it's like such a good book or such a good series that you're just a little sad that it ended. I kind of want that feeling of like it was so good that I could go back and read it again and just feel that feeling every time. Um, that it was just a really good story or it just resonated with you,
Yeah.
kind of gave you that happy feeling.
So, I'm going to jump into some just for funs.
Okay.
So, which of your MMCs would be the best book boyfriend, and which would be the biggest troublemaker, and from which books?
Oh, hmm.
Okay, so the best book boyfriend. I know it's like choosing children.
It really is. I feel like I have to pick a couple just because if I
Okay.
choose, you know. I think best book boyfriend, just personal. I really like Gunner from my first book. He's very alpha and very
So your first book
protective,
was
rolling with punches.
Mhm.
But he's like the alpha dom and kind of just like very protective, but kind of quiet and like just kind of gives you that presence. I really like him. Um, and then I'm trying to think. There's just so many characters in my Yellow Ribbons duet. Um, I do really love the Hutton twins, Emmett and Everett. I love a good twins or triplets in my books. I feel like it gives an interesting
I have
dynamic.
ones. Yeah.
But yeah, I think those two in my Yellow Ribbons duet, just because one's kind of like a quiet brooding, but like also still alpha, and then the other one's kind of just like the Joker and kind of keeps things
Mhm.
light. So I think they kind of blend to both personalities that really are just fun.
And then who would be your biggest MMC troublemaker? I'm stumping you today.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'm trying to think because I have like a couple that are like very.
Okay, off the top of your head. So we're going to do
Hmm,
the snap thing. So off the top of your head, go. Troublemaker.
I feel like it has to be Emmett Everett. I can't remember which one was the troublemaker. Emmett. He's very silly from Yellow Ribbons. Yeah, he's just like he's the jokester and he loves to like pull pranks and kind of drive everybody else nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are, I mean, you got to have those characters because, not everybody can be serious. So,
Yeah.
okay. So if you could be the FMC in one of your own I choose romances, who would be in your group of men?
Oh man.
And
I
it
feel
could
like I
be,
have to.
it could be from other books you've read as well. So it doesn't,
I was gonna say
okay.
I probably for sure take from a couple other books. Let's see. I would probably choose. I'm like only thinking of Hanford Prep because I just started rereading it again. Also SM Oliver. I don't know if you've read her books, but she has some really good ones. Her Sanctuary series, which is like a apocalyptic one, some of my favorite books. She has two guys in there that I think would be great. And then I got a pull from fantasy a little bit with Jay Breeze Broken Bond series. I feel like I have to go with North Draven on that one.
Okay.
He's very alpha, but he's also like kind of sweet on the backside of it. He like makes her food all the time.
A guy who
So
cooks. Yeah.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't have that.
me neither.
And
So
that's
he'd
why I
probably
always
be
put
one
an
of them.
MMC who does. Do you do that?
Right? Yeah,
It's like everything that I wish I had.
yeah.
It's like guy cooking me dinner in my story, guy doing the
Oh, for
laundry
sure.
in my story.
Yeah, I'd probably take Gunner from my Rolling with Punches, and for some reason he's not in a Why Choose book, but I really like The Butcher of the Bay from Jay Breeze books as well. He's just a little bit psycho, but he's so sweet to his girl that I just love that. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you can be a
Yep.
little crazy. That's fine.
Oh yeah. No, those are my favorites.
Oh, and there's probably so many more. I love Tate James books too, and just like some of the guys she puts in there, like some of them are a little bit crazy. Love that. I could probably build just like a whole harem, a wall of harems.
You do like a fanfic, and then,
Right.
and then you're the FMC, and then you can build your own little group and then go from there.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Well,
but yeah.
I'm going to wrap everything up and I want to thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. And for anyone who would love to check out Melanie's books, I'm going to leave some information in the description box below. And until next time, everyone, happy reading.